The house wasn't supposed to be awake. Ethan Cole stepped inside quietly, his jacket still smelling like rain and overtime exhaustion. The factory shift had been cancelled early, and for once, he thought fate was being kind. He imagined his daughter Lily asleep, her stuffed bear tucked under her arm, the soft hum of the nightlight filling the hallway. He imagined silence. Peace. Maybe even rest. Instead, he heard laughter, soft. Female. Familiar, but not from anyone who lived there. His grip tightened around his keys as he stood frozen near the doorway. The sound drifted from upstairs, followed by a pause, then a hush. His heart began to pound, not with anger at first, but confusion. No one was supposed to be here. Ever since his wife passed away 2 years ago, this house had been a sanctuary. A place of rules. Of boundaries. Ethan moved slowly up the stairs, every step heavier than the last. His mind raced through possibilities: robbers, misunderstandings, the neighbor's kid playing a prank. Anything but the truth. His instincts were already screaming. When he pushed open the bedroom door, time cracked. There, sitting upright on his bed, wrapped in his spare blanket, was Sophia Reed, his boss's best friend, the woman who had dropped Lily off from school twice this week, the woman who smiled politely at company dinners, the woman who always seemed untouchable, confident, composed, and completely out of his world. She looked up, eyes wide with shock. "Ethan, this isn't." He stepped back like he'd been burned. "What are you doing here?" His voice came out low, broken, unfamiliar even to himself. Sophia stood quickly, clutching the blanket. "Please, just listen. It's not what you think." But how could it not be? A single dad, struggling to survive paycheck to paycheck. A powerful woman connected to his boss. His bed. His house. His heart already too fragile to survive another betrayal. Before she could say another word, Lily's small voice echoed from the hallway, "Daddy?" Everything collapsed. Ethan turned instantly, forcing calm into his face as Lily peeked around the corner, sleepy and confused. Sophia froze, fear flashing across her expression, not fear of him, but fear of being seen like this. Fear of hurting someone who mattered. Ethan scooped Lily into his arms. "It's okay, sweetheart. Go back to bed." "But who's that lady?" Sophia swallowed hard. Ethan didn't answer. That night, no one slept, and nothing would ever be the same again. Pause for narration. If this story already has your heart racing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because the truth behind that bedroom door is only just beginning. Chapter 2, Truth, Consequences, and a Second Chance. Morning light has a cruel way of exposing everything. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cold mug of coffee he hadn't touched. Across from him, Sophia sat silently, her posture stiff, eyes tired, but determined. "I didn't plan for this," she said finally. "And I never wanted to hurt you." He laughed bitterly. "Funny. That's exactly what happened." She nodded. "I know. And I deserve your anger. But you deserve the truth." She told him everything, how she had come over to drop off documents for his boss. How Lily had insisted she stay when the storm hit. How the power went out. How Lily had fallen asleep scared, and Sophia stayed, not as a guest, but as someone who remembered what it felt like to be a child afraid of the dark. She asked if I could stay, Sophia whispered. "I didn't want to wake her by leaving." Ethan's jaw tightened. "And the bed?" Sophia met his eyes. "The couch was soaked from the leak. Lily told me you'd understand." Silence filled the room. Ethan stood up slowly and walked to the window. He wanted to stay angry. Anger was easier than hope. Easier than admitting he'd been lonely. Easier than facing the fact that someone had stepped into his world, not to take, but to protect. Days passed. At work, things changed. His boss avoided him. Rumors whispered through the halls. Sophia stopped coming around, until one afternoon, Lily asked a question that broke him. "Daddy, did I make you lose your friend?" That night, Ethan made a choice that he called Sophia. They talked, not as accusations, but as people who had both been carrying invisible weight. She admitted her life wasn't as perfect as it looked. He admitted how afraid he was of letting anyone close again. Weeks later, Sophia returned, not to his bed, but to his dinner table. Lily laughed between them. The walls softened. Trust rebuilt itself, slowly, honestly, and one evening, as the house filled with warmth instead of fear, Ethan realized something powerful. Sometimes, life doesn't test you with betrayal, sometimes, it tests you with misunderstanding, to see if you're brave enough to listen. The first crack didn't come from Ethan's heart. It came from the world outside his door. It started with whispers at work, glances that lingered too long, conversations that stopped the moment he walked past. Ethan felt it before he understood it, the way a man feels a storm coming in his bones. His boss, Richard Hale, called him into the office 3 days after Sophia returned for dinner. The blinds were half closed. The air was heavy. Richard didn't offer him a seat. "People are talking," Richard said flatly. Ethan didn't flinch. "About what?" Richard sighed, rubbing his temple. "About you. About Sophia. About that night." So it had spread. Ethan felt a familiar heat rise in his chest, the same helpless anger he'd felt when his wife died and the world kept moving like nothing had happened. "Nothing happened," he said firmly. "And you know her better than anyone." Richard looked away. "That's the problem," he replied. "I thought I did." By lunchtime, Ethan knew the truth. Sophia had stepped back, not because she was ashamed, but because she was protecting him. She'd requested a temporary transfer. No explanation. No defense. She let the rumors land on her shoulders instead of his, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt something stronger than fear. He felt responsibility. That evening, he found Sophia standing outside his house, rain soaking her hair, eyes tired but resolute. She didn't knock. She just stood there, as if waiting for permission to exist in his world again. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I should have told Richard sooner. I thought silence would protect you." Ethan shook his head. "You don't get to disappear like that." She looked surprised. "I thought you needed space." "I needed truth," he said. "And I needed you to stop sacrificing yourself like you don't matter." That was when she broke, not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a single breath that shattered, followed by tears she'd clearly been holding back for years. She told him about her failed marriage, about being valued only for her connections, about how helping Lily that night reminded her of who she used to be, before power replaced purpose. "I didn't want to complicate your life," she whispered. "You've already lost too much." Ethan stepped closer. "You didn't complicate it. You reminded me it was still alive." The next week was chaos. A parent from Lily's school confronted him. A coworker made a cruel joke. Even his sister called, worried he was getting involved with someone above his station. Every word chipped at him, but none of them broke him, because at night, Lily slept peacefully, because Sophia showed up, not to hide, but to stand beside him. The breaking point came at the company fundraiser. Sophia walked in first, confident, calm. Ethan followed, holding Lily's hand. The room went silent. Richard stood frozen at the podium. Sophia took the microphone. "There was no scandal," she said clearly. "There was kindness. There was a child who needed comfort. And there was a man who deserved trust." She turned to Ethan. "And I won't let rumors punish decency." Richard said nothing. The room slowly filled with applause, not loud, but honest. Later that night, as Ethan tucked Lily into bed, she smiled sleepily. "Daddy," she murmured, "I like it when Sophia's here. You don't look sad anymore." Ethan sat alone afterward, the house quiet but full in a way it hadn't been in years. He understood something then. Something hard and true: love doesn't arrive gently when you're ready. It arrives when you're brave enough to protect it, and tomorrow, the world could say whatever it wanted. He wasn't alone anymore. If this chapter touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. the final chapter reveals the choice that will change everything, for Ethan, for Sophia, and for Lily.